Hi, I'm Alex, and this is Tank Tested. A few months ago, I showed you this beautiful Iwagumi setup, but many of you noticed there was another tank just off to the side, and you wanted to know more about it. So today, I'm bringing the tank creator Justin back to tell us a little about it. Stay tuned for his really clever way of delivering the CO2 plant's love into the tank. Now, here's Justin.
I'm Justin, Aquawork on Instagram, and this is my Mr. Aqua 12 gallon long and my Mr. Aqua 7.5 cube. This is two different takes on the stem plant Pearlweed. The cube started as mostly an experiment. It has gone several different versions of Hardscape and plants. It has arrived to what you see now with mostly Pearlweed and Rotala colorata with a carpet of hairgrass. I keep a small school of exclamation point Rasporas in this tank. They are a really small fish that do well in nano tanks like this. They are kind of a shy fish. I think I have about 11 of them in there. I only see 9 or so at a time. The carpet in the foreground of the cube is mostly hairgrass with some pearlweed creeping up on it that I try to keep at bay, mixed with now some Pogostemon helferi. The background is mostly Rotala and Pearlweed that fades into a bush of Ludwigia. When I started this tank, I didn't plan to have that plant as my background. It just sort of evolved that way. And the Rotala and the Pearlweed grow at a very similar rate, so it's easy to sculpt them together and get that nice modeling texture of red and green in the back. A lot of what I do and what anyone does in this hobby is trial and error, and I definitely, through experimenting, found out that the Rotala and the Pearlweed grow at a similar rate, so I'll call it a happy accident. Anyone who grows red plants probably gets asked a lot, how do you get red plants? And the answer is a lot of light. Red in plants is a response to the light as sort of a natural sunscreen. And by giving the plant a lot of light, you'll get that red color. To maintain a lot of light on your red plants, you have to have a good amount of CO2. This is a high-tech tank. I use a really basic hang-on bag filter, and I splice the CO2 directly into the intake. I accidentally discovered that CO2 sucked into the intake of the filter will be chopped up by the impeller and diffused into the water. It works really well. It works really well with this type of filter. I wouldn't really try it with a canister, but with a hang-on back filter of this type, it does pretty well. So the light on that tank is a little Chihiros RGB. It is a very bright light. I would say on most of my tanks I overfilter and overlight. So the Hardscape are a few of the river stones similar to what I used in the Iwagumi, and a bunch of black willow branches. The cube is by a window. It doesn't really get much sun by that, but it does have that nice brick backdrop. It does sort of have that really nice juxtaposition of the red brick, and then in front of it you have the really lush planted cube, and it sort of offers a nice juxtaposition, a really interesting, striking look.
I hope you enjoyed this look at a beautiful aquascape. If you did, please consider subscribing, and thanks as always to my Patreon supporters who make these videos possible.